A simple message from a trusted vendor requesting a payment update. Nothing unusual. It's the kind of notification a finance professional sees dozens of times a week. But in the high-stakes world of corporate finance, silence is often the loudest warning you'll ever receive. You process the request, the check is cut, and the transaction is marked complete. You go home, feeling productive. But what if the vendor never sent that message? Today, we go behind the scenes of the invisible breach, the WhatsApp vendor scam. This is a fraud so simple yet so devastatingly effective that it bypasses the most expensive cyber firewalls on the planet. It doesn't target your software. It targets the one thing your IT department cannot protect: human trust. What if your company's money didn't just move, it disappeared into a digital ghost? This is corporate secrets, and the truth is more expensive than you think. Messaging platforms like WhatsApp have revolutionized how we do business. They've made global communication instant, frictionless, and, most importantly, informal. In the modern race for efficiency, the traditional slow-moving email chain has been replaced by the quick ping of a chat message. Business decisions that once required formal letters and multiple signatures now happen in seconds. Can we approve this? Yes, go ahead. Payment processed. It's seamless. It's easy. But this convenience comes at a hidden, terrifying cost. By moving business-critical decisions into these informal, unmonitored channels, corporations are unknowingly dismantling the very barriers designed to keep their billions safe. We have traded security for speed, and the predators of the digital age have noticed. The office walls are no longer where your security perimeter ends. It's now in the palm of your hand, in a message that looks like a friend, but acts like a thief. Beneath the surface of these secure chats lies a new, terrifying attack surface. Unlike traditional email phishing, which often leaves a digital trail of suspicious domains or broken headers, a WhatsApp profile is a blank canvas for a master fraudster. With just a high-resolution logo and a believable name, anyone can become anyone. The risk is invisible because it is camouflaged as the person you've been talking to for years. This isn't just a technical hack, it's a social engineering masterclass. By exploiting the inherent trust we place in a familiar name and a familiar interface, attackers are building a digital bridge directly into your company's treasury. The fraud doesn't start with a sophisticated virus or a brute force attack. It starts with a simple, polite hello from a contact you thought you knew. In this game, the best camouflage is a familiar face and a friendly tone. The first stage of the heist is identity cloning, but it starts long before a message is sent. Attackers spend weeks performing meticulous reconnaissance, what we call the quiet phase. They aren't just looking for passwords, they are looking for relationships. They scrape LinkedIn for the names of accounts payable staff, learn who the key decision makers are, and research which vendors a company uses through public press releases and earnings calls. Once they have the target, they replicate the vendor's identity with terrifying precision. They don't just copy the logo, they copy the personality. They learn the vendor's typical language, their working hours, and even their billing cycles. By the time they send the first message, they aren't just an impersonator, they are a digital twin. This level of preparation ensures that when the message finally arrives, the recipient's critical thinking is already disarmed by the power of familiarity. The initiation is always subtle. It rarely starts with a request for $1 million. Instead, it's a routine administrative update. We've moved our regional office, or we're consolidating our accounts for better service. This is the wedge, a simple, low-stakes request that requires a critical change in the company's master data. To a busy finance manager juggling 100 tasks, this looks like a standard chore to be ticked off a list. The attacker doesn't want you to think. They want you to act. By framing the change as a benefit to the relationship or a necessary administrative step for an audit, they move the conversation from "Why are you doing this?" to "How fast can I get this updated?" It's the perfect Trojan horse delivered in the palm of your hand, wrapped in the language of corporate efficiency and partnership. Once the seed of trust is planted, the attacker injects the catalyst: urgency. Please process this immediately to avoid a delay in your upcoming shipment. This is a psychological trigger designed to bypass the analytical part of the brain. In a high-stakes corporate environment, the fear of causing a bottleneck or missing a deadline is a powerful motivator. The fraudster plays the role of a stressed vendor colleague, creating a shared sense of crisis. "I'm under a lot of pressure from my boss to get this updated," they might say, building a bond of empathy and urgency. When we are rushed, we skip steps. We forget to pick up the phone. We forget to check the old number on the system. We just want the pressure to stop, and the easiest way to make it stop is to hit save. The fraudster knows that haste is the enemy of security. This is the moment of failure. The bank details are updated in the company's master vendor file without any independent verification. No callback to a known landline number was performed. No official letter on corporate letterhead was requested. The system, trusting the authenticated user, accepts the new information as the absolute truth. In the eyes of the organization, the fraudster is now the legitimate recipient of all future payments. The informal chat has successfully overwritten the formal controls of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It is a silent breach. No alarms go off. No IT department detects a hack. The door has been unlocked from the inside, and the keys have been handed over by a trusted employee who thought they were just doing their job. The wall has been breached, but not a single stone was moved. The machine begins to move. A week later, a legitimate invoice arrives for a real shipment. The finance system looks at the master file, sees the new bank details, and prepares the transfer. A senior executive, seeing the familiar vendor name and a correct invoice amount, taps approve on their mobile device during a lunch break at a busy airport. In an instant, a high-value corporate payment, intended for a long-term partner, is launched into the digital ether. But it's not going to a factory in Germany or a warehouse in Singapore. It's headed to a series of mule accounts controlled by a criminal syndicate designed to move the money through 4 different countries in under 20 minutes. By the time the sun sets and the workday ends, the money is gone and the trail is cold. In some cases, the loss is a single devastating blow that changes a company's trajectory forever. We've seen scenarios where a one-time capital expenditure for a new piece of industrial machinery or a real estate deposit is intercepted by a single message. A single transaction of $2 or $3 million can vanish because of one WhatsApp chat. For a mid-sized company, this is more than just a financial loss. It's an existential threat. It impacts payroll for hundreds of employees, halts R&D projects, and shatters shareholder confidence. The realization that such a massive sum was lost through a casual chat platform is a bitter pill for boards of directors to swallow. It exposes a fundamental flaw in the corporate armor, that the most expensive security systems are only as strong as the person checking their phone. But more often, the fraud is a slow, methodical bleed. Multiple invoices, multiple transfers, spread out over several months before anyone notices a single red flag. The attacker doesn't get greedy, they let the system work for them. By the time the real vendor calls to politely ask why they haven't been paid for the last 3 months, the cumulative exposure can be staggering. We have tracked cases where the total fraud reached $6.7 million before the first alarm was raised. This batch approach is even more dangerous because it normalizes the fraudulent behavior. The finance team gets used to sending money to the new account, making the crime invisible through simple repetition. In this game, trust isn't just a virtue, it's the criminal's greatest currency, and they spend it wisely. Why do these controls fail in the world's most sophisticated companies? It's rarely a lack of policy. Most companies have a bank change policy on paper, signed by the CEO. But paper doesn't stop a determined social engineer. Controls fail because of decision fatigue and the dangerous illusion of familiarity. When you've been chatting with someone for 2 years, sharing jokes and project updates, you stop seeing them as a vendor and start seeing them as a contact or even a friend. You trust the name on the screen more than the policy in the dusty handbook. This is where the fraudster wins. They move the conversation into a gray zone where rules feel like obstacles and friendship feels like security. When trust replaces verification, the controls don't just fail, they fail silently, leaving the door wide open. The shift to informal channels has created a massive blind spot for corporate oversight. Unlike emails, which are archived, monitored, and filtered by sophisticated IT security systems, WhatsApp chats are often off the grid. They are encrypted, private, and live on personal or semi-personal devices that the company doesn't fully control. This lack of transparency means that when a fraudster enters the chat, there is no system to flag the suspicious activity or the new contact number. The conversation happens in a total vacuum. Business decisions that should be recorded in a centralized ERP system are instead buried in a scroll of emojis and OK messages. We have built a world of instant communication, but we have neglected to build the digital audit trails to protect it. We are flying blind in a storm of messages. To stop the steal, we must learn to see the red flags that are hidden in plain sight. A bank detail change requested via a chat message is not an update. It is a high-risk event that requires immediate escalation. Any request that involves shifting money to a new jurisdiction, a different bank name, or an individual's account should trigger an automatic hard stop in your process. Watch for the language of pressure. Phrases like, "to avoid delay," "final notice," or "boss is asking." Be wary of new contact numbers claiming to be the same person, and most importantly, listen to your professional intuition. If a vendor who has used the same bank for 10 years suddenly moves to a digital-only bank in a foreign tax haven, something is wrong. The red flags are always there. We just have to be willing to look. The lesson from these multi-million-dollar failures is simple, yet profound. Every change must be verified independently. This is the out-of-band verification rule, and it is your strongest shield. If you receive a request on WhatsApp, you verify it via a phone call to a known landline number already in your system. You don't use the number in the chat, you use the number in your trusted records. This one simple step, a 60-second phone call, is the difference between a secure transaction and a corporate catastrophe. It breaks the attacker's psychological spell and brings the conversation back into the light of formal control. In a world of digital deception, the most powerful security tool we have isn't a new piece of software. It's an old-fashioned conversation. Trust, but always verify. But the threat is evolving at the speed of light. As companies harden their email security, fraudsters will move even deeper into our private lives. The next fraud may not come as a message from a vendor. It might come from your boss, your partner, or your bank. With the rise of AI-driven deepfakes, even a voice note or a video call can be perfectly faked. The WhatsApp vendor scam is just the beginning of a new era of personalized peril. The next message is already being typed by someone, somewhere. It's sitting in an inbox right now, waiting for someone to be too busy, too tired, or too trusting. The question isn't if you will be targeted. It's whether you'll be the one who picks up the phone. Stay vigilant. The secrets are out, and the game has just begun. If this video opened your eyes, like, share, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Corporate Secrets.